What's happening? It's a well matched live perspectives with my girl Zoe. So we'll just give her a second to join. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Love it. Dang, Zoe, that was fast. Dang, I love it. I love it. Appreciate y'all for being so prompt. You know, I have to filibuster. Baby, we can probably jump on in.
Hey,
What's happened?
well, in true campaign world, I'm running around like crazy. So I just got home. I'm trying to get in a cute area since I'm on live, which we're just gonna do this. And I have this like light I'm trying to figure out. So here we are.
Oh, it's going great. Like, nah, you look great. You know what
Thank you,
I'm
thank
saying?
you.
So make sure you're comfortable. You in this spot, like that's where we at. You comfortable? Got a drink?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay.
I have this, my team has put me onto this little light thing. It's,
Is it ring or is it something separate?
It's a separate light because apparently the kids use this light now. They don't do the ring light anymore because this one is mobile.
Well, put me
Uh,
on.
it's like the little. I'll send it. They got it off of Amazon. I don't know. There's a new contraction every day. So here we are.
Yeah. No, it's hard to keep up. But
Yeah.
nah, Zoe, thank you for doing this. Um,
Oh.
you went away. I don't know
I'm
what happened.
here. I'm here. 1 second.
Okay. Right as I said, thank you for doing this. She leaves.
No, I'm here. I'm here, y'all. 1 second. Y'all keep talking. We here. We here. Just trying to get some a little more comfortable. But yeah, I'm
Thank you
here.
all for being here. All right. So,
While
Khalil.
Zoe gets her life together.
Yeah, I'm just showing love to everybody who showed up. Thank you guys. My boy, who got it? Ash, what's up? What's up? Spellhouse alumni. Okay.
See, Alex, this is
What's
why I
up,
need your
Lauren?
help. If I had a man, I wouldn't have to be doing all this.
Listen, you had at least you had somebody to blame. I
Fi-
thought you said you set it up for me. You know I had. Nah, I'm playing. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? How's everybody's day? Would love to get some activity in the chat. Anything happen? Anything interesting happen?
um,
Not you, Zoe. I'm still stalling for you. You go ahead. You focus on what you need to. What's up? What's up, Ash? Okay, Tasha, good. Okay, what's so funny, Tasha? I met Tasha because Chad posted um a reel and we just talked to each other in the comments. And look at that. Now Tasha's in the live. Shout out to you. Man, I tell you, social media is something else.
oh, I figured it out. Okay. I think we're
Ooh.
good now. Yay, I figured it out.
Well done. All
Oh,
right.
you can see what this looks like. This is great.
No, it looks good. It looks really good. Okay, so let's jump into it. So I want to start with your intro.
All
Okay.
right.
So Zoe, I've watched you grow all the way from a young, driven teenager in Bay City to Spelman, to graduating law school, to becoming a lawyer, and now, you are a true, city servant. And I mean that too. I've always been impressed with you. I even tell people, like, if I had a daughter, I want them to have your confidence. And I don't know if I've ever told you that, but like, people know that I say that. Like,
Oh.
I just love how you love you. I love how you show up in this world, and I'm proud to call you a friend. I mean, it's your confidence, it's your resilience, it's, I mean, honestly, just your general abilities. I'm like never surprised with how well you do things. So I remember when you sent me that text that morning saying you was around, I was like, hey, you know how hype I was for you.
Yes.
And I thought, we have similarities, right? Because I think we both are connectors. And I'll never forget this. Years ago, Zoe, I mean, you've done so many things, but like years ago, it felt like it was a drought in connection with like the young professionals and the older professionals. Just remember you sending out a text to a lot of people saying like, "Hey, pull up at this prominent house that everybody wanted these relationships." And Zoe just was like, "Yo, I'm gonna set up like a luncheon slash just like event." It was almost like a matchmaking event, but it was professional.
Yeah.
And when I tell you like the connections that I met with people that I wouldn't have been in the same like room in ever, like that was Zoe. And I just remember like she didn't do that to, pat herself on the back or to, humble brag about who she knew. She did that because there was a need that she saw, because we communicated it amongst ourselves and she addressed that need. And I think that, if you don't know Zoe, like that's a story to maybe get to know her. And that's probably why she's running for congresswoman. And we'll get into that later and why she probably wants your vote. But I want to start off with another four-letter word, love. I want her perspective on what it's like behind the campaign, right? And behind the community boards that she's on, and talk more about her experiences when the world tells Black women to hurry up and just find a husband, right? But your purpose, like Zoe's, came first. So everybody join me in welcoming my friend in the first Spelman night to be on the Well Match. Shout out to you.
Yay.
Appreciate you for making the time.
Thank you. Well, no, Alex, we go way back. For those who don't know, Alex and I's moms actually grew up together. So we had heard about each other, and then we met shortly before I went to Spelman. And he has been just a wonderful friend and brother. And when he told me he was doing this, I was like, well, it makes sense. He has a successful marriage. I've watched him just be a great man. And I think it's really important that matchmakers are people who are also good men in their personal life. Like, I don't want you matching me if you're a trash man. So Alex is a very good man.
Yeah,
He's very lucky to have Mal, but Mal's also lucky to have him. And
thank you.
he has done a good job of putting good people together. So for anyone looking for a good service, this is someone you can trust in terms of he can lead by example. But no, I'm excited for this. I turned 36 yesterday. I'm officially in my late 30s. So I am officially like the clock is ticking, and I
I was
think
gonna say, what we calling that?
yeah,
Officially
I
what?
mean, I don't look it, I hope, but
You
I
don't.
think
You don't.
things. But it does not, it's not something that I don't think about often, right? I definitely want a family. I definitely want kids. And I don't regret any decisions I've made in my life thus far. I have lived an amazing life. I have been able to accomplish so much in a very young amount of time, from graduating law school to becoming one of the top lobbyists in Washington, D.C. before the age of 35, having a senior position at a major company before the age of 32. And so, God has definitely blessed my life. And in doing that, I've had a lot of experiences. I've met a lot of people, but I have not, gotten married yet. And I think we're Southern. We live in Houston and in the South. Like, that's what you do. You graduate, you go to college to find your husband, and then you get married shortly after. And we have tons of mutual friends who are married and they have wonderful relationships and families. But we both know people that are in the boat that I'm in.
Yeah.
And I think I look back and I wonder, like, what would my life have been had I gotten married when I was younger? It definitely would not have been what it is now. I don't, some of the experiences I've had, I wouldn't have had. So again, I don't regret the timing, but I think you have to be very confident in just knowing that this is the season that you're in, and that season may not include marriage. But that doesn't mean you can't pursue other things and continue to make yourself better in the process, and continue to make yourself prepared for when that person does come.
Absolutely. So, like, are you prepared for when that person comes? Like, tell me more about like what you know about love now. Maybe start off with like what you learned about it growing up. Did you have good examples to look at? Were there anything you wanted to unlearn? You know what I'm saying about love? Like, tell me about the process of kind of being ready to love.
Yeah, I mean, I think I grew up in a very similar household that a lot of us are in. Two parents for most of it, but my parents did get divorced, and I watched my mom be a very independent woman at
Yep.
times. And so I always kind of held that to my core. Like, I need to be able to take care of myself and my family, regardless of
Yep.
what happened. And so that allowed me to kind of be very disciplined in school and making sure that I was getting to the bag. And so
Yeah.
I've been someone who's always taken care of myself, I bought a home by myself, I traveled by myself, do all the things. And so now I think marriage for me, yes, you want love, but also you're looking for partnership and someone who's going to complement my life. And I think that's the key for people who are getting into relationships older. I'm not looking for someone to provide all the things because I've been able to provide a lot of things, but more so looking for that partner and someone who I can share all of these wonderful things and this life that I've created to share that with. And so I think love when you're older looks a little different because I have experienced, the fun dating and them giving you
Yeah.
things and all
Yeah.
the little
Hmm.
fairy tale things we talk about. But when you're
Right.
someone who has your own, those aren't the priorities anymore, and you want someone who you can just laugh with and share things with, and in the
Absolutely.
end of in like a stressful day with a glass of wine and some food, and they understand you, and you can like
Absolutely.
take all of this off, and they still love who that person is underneath the boss woman.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I love how you put that. Like you could kind of hear the different stages you went through, maybe other women. I think a lot of women have a similar story to you. Like everybody's not running, right? But like people are striving, people are running for their goals. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, sometimes you feel like you have to choose between do I want to run towards a man or do I want to run towards this career? And like, I love to kind of understand because I can kind of understand like a man's perspective on like, when we're 20, what we're thinking about when we're 25, when we're 30, when we're 35, when we're 40, like I get that piece, but it's always interesting to hear from a woman's point of view. And like it made me think about in high school. I remember there were kids like who would tell somebody that they were just cool with, like friends with, of the opposite sex, like, yo, if I'm not married by 30, by the big age of 30, you know what I'm saying? Like we should marry
Yeah,
because it's like, like, why do we do that? But then like now it's different, you know what I'm saying? Now nobody's willing to say, all right, like it didn't work out, but now I'm in a different place to maybe look for something different than what I originally wanted, but it's still value in the black family, still value in finding someone who loves you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah. Why do you think
yeah.
that
I agree.
is?
I mean, I think it's what we've been told, right? Like we're still coming out of this stone age, especially for women, that your value is based on who you marry and not
Mm.
based on what you're able to accomplish or who you are as an individual person. And so we feel as women a lot of times that we are not whole without that husband. I'm running for office, and if I win, I'm going to be one of the few members of Congress who has never been married, female members of Congress who has never been married. A lot of people ask me, well, where's your husband? And like, where's your family? And what are you going to like, as if somehow me serving in office prevents me from finding love and having a family. And so society has told us as women that you can't do everything else until you find that man. And I think women like me are pushing back on that narrative and saying, I can do everything else while also aspiring to marriage and to being a mother. It looks a little different than what it looked like in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, but I can do it. And quite frankly, black women have always done it. Like when we were on the plantation, we were being mothers, cooks, servants, all the things, the support for the entire family, mothers to children whose mothers have been sold. So we have always done all the things. So this idea that we can't be boss women, be CEOs, be entrepreneurs, be politicians, and also be great mothers and wives, it really doesn't make any sense because we have always, as Black women, done it all. And so I think it is us being willing to stand up and say, look, I don't have to choose one or the other. My life just looks a little different, and there's compromises that have to be made along the way, but that doesn't mean that I can't have both.
I mean, I think you can have both and more because you talked about those things, but I think women also want softness, and a lot of times it's like, you know, damn, like I think this a myth that if you're successful, you don't want some sense of a
Yeah.
soft life. Right? Have
Yeah.
you experienced that?
Oh yeah, I get the whole "you're intimidating" all the time, which is very
Do
funny to me.
you?
Yeah, because I feel
Because you're
like people
so
who know
nice.
me
Like
would
what?
never think I'm intimidating. Like, but yeah, I get that all the time. And honestly, man, this is about to get really,
That's
really real,
interesting,
right?
though. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
think running for office and having to be in different spaces and not being in a suit all the time, people have seen a slightly different side of me. And so I get approached in a different way. And I'd say I get approached even more now, which is interesting. But yeah, like women, I think men feel like if you wear a suit and you go into an office and drive a certain car or own your own house, that we don't need a man. I think that's the perception. And I think if you're looking at it from a shallow materialistic standpoint, sure, I don't need a man if I have a house or if I can buy myself a bag or take myself on vacation. But we
Right.
want more than the shallow materialistic. We want the protector, the security emotionally and physically. We want someone who we can tell our deepest secrets to and who can see us without makeup and see us be weak. Because in order for us to get to these high levels, we have to be stronger than most people because we're women and we're black. So, or minority, or you're just a woman. Either way,
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
have a higher ceiling and a higher road to take than the average male. And so, just getting to where we are, it requires us to be strong. And so, really, we want the man where we can just be weak and sad and release and vulnerable and feminine. So, this whole
Right.
idea that strong women, strong, successful women want a man that wants them to be strong all the time. Like, I don't have time for that. That's exhausting. Like, I need to
Okay.
be strong for the people I'm trying to represent. And then I need to be able to be soft, like with my man. So,
So, like, what helps you power down campaign mode, like at home? Like, what? Let's talk about like what you want someone to do for your nervous system, right? Like, do you want them to calm you down, or do you want someone to meet you there and be like, nah, nah, I'm with you, like, you're not, you know, you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like, what type of energy are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think one, just being able to have the conversations that you don't feel you can have with a lot of other people, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like there are moments where I have doubts and fears, even in this time of running for Congress, and that's not something that you necessarily want to share with everyone, but your person you can share it with.
Yeah.
There are moments where I don't know, I forget to eat. Like
Yeah.
your person needs to know, like, babe hasn't eaten. Let me get her some food, or let me make sure she's taking
That's
care of
facts.
herself. Because when you're running for office or in any type of public service role, you're giving so much of yourself to everybody else. And so much of it is always expected of you. And so I think it's even more important to have someone that can keep you in mind and just remind you to check in on yourself. And so I think that men play a really good role in doing that. Y'all calm us down. Y'all are able to be a little more rational, and you can tell us the things that we may not want to hear, but you tell it in a way that's soft. And I think that's,
Yeah.
it's that, again, it's that partnership. The same way y'all need us to help you guys get where you are. For those who
We
aspire
do.
to have certain careers, you need that same level of support and friendship as well.
We need each other. So
Yeah.
like how do we just stop the craziness with this gender war? Guys, like it is not productive. Like
Yeah.
we are talking at each other, not to each other. So this is really cool. So like you talked about how more people are approaching you now, you know what I'm saying? So like how should someone show interest if they are interested? You know what I'm saying? Like what do you not want them to do? Like are DMs open? Or like, do you want them to approach you in real life? Like someone said therapy helps. We need each other. Yes, bros. And that was two men. I
Yes. Oh, hey,
appreciate that.
Ronnie.
Shout out to the men. They said, nah, let me calm down.
No, no,
But
that's real though. Let's touch on that before we get to that other
let's
question.
go. Let's go.
That's
Go
the
ahead.
other thing. I need all
Therapy.
black men born. Every black man under the age of like 99 needs to be in therapy. Seriously. And I think it's even more important for men because y'all don't talk to each other the way women do. Like women can be each other's therapists on a day-to-day basis. The group chat
Okay.
alone is therapy. Like there are TV
How do you
shows.
know how we talk to each other, though?
Y'all don't, not the way we talk. Y'all talk, but y'all don't talk, right? And because y'all are men, we are strong. But men don't have enough outlets. And also, I say because women are much more emotional, we emote more, and it's socially acceptable to emote, that we kind of have self-created therapy sessions on a daily basis. Men, unfortunately, do not, and a lot of that pent-up anger and intimidation and doubt, it can transfer into the relationship. And so you can have a very well-intentioned man who just has a lot of self issues and introspection that needs to happen, and that makes them not a good match for women that are very self-assured, confident, and successful. And so you got to be able to match our energy, and that requires you all to reconcile with whatever issue you have going on. So I highly recommend you men go to therapy. It is not frowned upon. In fact, I think
Me
most women get
too.
excited to hear when men are in therapy.
I highly recommend black men go to therapy as well. I agree with everything. I approve this message. Nah, like I agree with everything she said. Um I understand if you may not want to go, but I think you should reconsider. Give it a try.
Just give it a try.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with what it is, what it does for you, what it allows you to do. And if it doesn't work out, that you do, you just went, you had a good conversation, but it's tremendous. So let's talk about other deal breakers. So like, okay, if he's not in therapy, nah. Anything else you want to call out that's like, yo, like it's probably something political. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I think, I think for older women, the conversation around children is a big thing. And,
absolutely.
part of the reason why I'm running is because I am fighting for reproductive rights for all women, because we should not have to sacrifice our careers because we're thinking about how we're going to have a family. So, first and foremost, it's just important that we continue to advocate for reproductive freedom, reproductive rights, and access to healthcare that allows older women to become mothers in the future. But I think that's something men have to think about. Men love to tell women that they want to have like a basketball team worth of children, and to an older woman, you're sitting here like, with what body? Like, I'm 36,
Nah,
so
facts.
where are these 15 kids coming out? And so I think that's a real thing, and kind of reimagining what that family looks like, being open to things like adoption, or maybe even going through a
Mhm.
non-traditional route of childbirth, because the reality is the older you get, the less or the more dangerous it becomes to have children. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but you have to think about those other options. And so I don't think men think about that as much as women do, but that is a real thing. And just understanding what our bodies are going through the older that we get, and what that is going to mean for a future family, and how you're putting that pressure on the woman. Because I don't think men realize, you can put a lot of pressure on your girl or your wife or even a friend, and it's something we think about every day because we live in these bodies, right? So we're very cognizant of it. And so making sure that you're being a good supporter, and not making the woman feel bad because she hasn't had children yet, or because there might be something going on that she has absolutely no control over.
Absolutely. Health wise, career wise, fear wise, like there's a lot. Like what women do in order to bring kids into this world is incredible. Like no one else can do it.
Yeah.
Like it's a miracle for real. So like whatever y'all need, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whatever y'all need,
You
okay?
heard it first from out. Whatever
Yeah.
y'all need. That's
And it's
right.
like, and I was gonna ask you, so I appreciate you taking it there. Because I was gonna ask you, like, give men the script. Because sometimes we don't realize, like, I love that you gave that example too. Like, I want a basketball team. And that may be his reality because he grew up as a single child and wanted, you know, his kids or to be around other kids because he saw like what he didn't have. But I think that once you enter into a relationship, it's more than just what you want. You have to understand her perspective too. So like, are there any other things in your opinion that like, men could like help give us the script with like supportive language versus like controlling language around like timelines or like freezing or adoption? Like you can do those things, but should we be bringing them up or should we just wait until
No, I think it's a conversation you should have, but think of it this way, right? You're a successful man with a great job, and you're marrying a woman in this current level of success, but you want to know that this woman will stick by your side if you lost your job or if you lost the ability, if you're a football player and you get into a car wreck, now you can't
Right.
play football. Does she love you for you versus what you're giving her? And I think
Right.
women are the same way. Like, if we're a woman that wants to have a family, more likely than not, you want to do it the natural way and you want to be able to give your husband that. But again, we don't control this, right? That is only up to God what that looks like. And so you want to know that your husband is marrying you for you. And regardless of what you're able to do in the future from a family standpoint, he's still going to love you and he's still going to be there with you. And he's going to be there through that journey. So if it comes to where you can't naturally give birth, he's going to be there with you through IVF. If you can't do IVF,
Yeah.
he'll be there with you through adoption. And if
For
that's not an
adoption.
option, he's still going to be there with you because he married you for you and not for what you can give him. And I
And he's
think,
not gonna make you feel guilty about
yeah,
not having kids, because that's what unconditional love is, right? You
yeah,
know.
yeah. And I think that right there just takes the pressure off so much more, and it makes us feel secure in the sense that we're with someone for us and not for what we're ultimately giving them.
I agree. Here's what I'll say just to that point. And maybe it's a shameless plug for the will match, but it's like I think it's also important to make sure that you if you aren't married to someone, if you aren't in a relationship and you're going into one, you should be aligned with your family goals.
Yeah, for sure.
Have have the conversation about that,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Because like it's one thing to, go into it one person wanting them, the other person not, and then like dealing with that versus like y'all both wanted them, but it's just a situation that we got to deal with, and you don't want to look at the other person like a vessel, right? Like
Yeah.
they are them, they are themselves. You love them for them, right? Not for what they can do or bring. So I completely agree with you on that.
Yep. And ladies have to be honest about it too. All women don't want children, and we have to be upfront about that. If we choose not to, or if we decide maybe we wanted it, but then we don't, we have to be honest about that. So
What if
it
somebody
is
says
a
he's
two-way street.
undecided for you?
Look, I think undecided is a category, right? I want, I don't want, I'm undecided. For me, I need to be with someone who knows they want it.
Yeah,
I don't want undecided. Undecided is too fickle. For some people, undecided might work, but I do think that as a category, and you have to view that as a category because, there might come a day where they really truly are not wanting kids. I also think it depends on what we're talking about. Is it like I'm undecided based on how much money I make? I'm undecided based on what trajectory my career takes. I do think being undecided could be a little bit selfish, only
somebody
because,
said no fence rider, exactly. Because
yeah,
you,
I think
you
you need
you
to,
like what
you have to
what's
see it.
51%? If it's 51%, what is that? Say
Yeah,
that, and then just say how you also can, you
yeah.
know.
I think and this is like where it comes to being equally yoked, right? Like I'm a Christian,
Yeah,
right? I am very adamant about my person has to be a Christian. There is no wiggle room. For some
yeah,
people, that may not be the case. So I think with children and family, it's the same thing. Some people may be okay with we are both undecided. As long as both parties are in agreement and alignment, I think you can have either stance. But that agreement and alignment piece is what's really important.
agree. Let me ask you this. Okay, you know how small Houston is, right? Houston's the largest little city.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I do the well match, right? So I'll post people, and I just feel like everybody has a perspective on someone that I may show that is based on other people that they've talked to previously. But with Houston being so small, do we see that changing? Like, is there going to be is it high school where the new kid comes from Arizona? You know what I'm saying? Or like, how do we address that? Like, how do we address the fact that everybody's going to have a past, but just because someone, and I can speak from experience, I don't want people to judge me off how I would be in a new relationship based on how I was in my older relationships. Now, it does say something about your character, of course, but like for me, it just seems like because we're such a small town, you know what I'm saying? Like that may prevent people from like being able to trust.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What do you think?
I mean, this is why everyone should go to therapy, right? Therapy shows that you've done the work to make yourself better. If you're at our
Okay.
age, you have had multiple romantic experiences, most likely, and so
Yeah.
we all have. Um, we've had experiences that we may not have been the proudest of, or there are places where we could have grown. And so, are you putting in the work to be a better person? I think that's what's important. I think ultimately who you are will shine through, but I do think everyone doesn't put in the work to be better.
No,
So
no, right.
you can't just be like, oh, that was my past, but I never actually made
You gotta
myself
have a
a person.
narrative with it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, like, so are
Yeah,
you going to therapy? Are you doing the things that you need to do, the self work, the introspection to be a better person for who
I love
will
that
meet the
answer.
caliber of well matched Alex's?
That's such a good
Level.
answer, Zoe. That's so good because that's honestly what I look for. Because the questions on the questionnaire, like I'm asking these things to see if you took accountability, like if there's
Mhm.
growth, like if you're taking it seriously. Because nobody's really trying to play games, man. Like I'm trying to do this as a way to make sure people treat each other nicely and like, yo, we don't waste anybody's time.
Yeah.
So that's why this is important, right? Like, because people get to see, um, the whole version of someone, and then use that to kind of gauge if there's interest or not. So I wanted to ask you, like, what do most men get wrong about you, or in general?
Wow, that's an interesting question.
Is it?
I think what they think makes me happy, right? Because again, I think people see how I treat myself, which is very important, right? You should use that as a baseline, but I think they think this is not to say
I
this is
love how you treat yourself. I'll
yeah,
just say that. I
I do
started
too.
off
I
with
love
that.
how I treat
I
myself
started off with that.
too.
I love how you treat yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think people think that's it, right? It's like, okay, I gotta be able to buy her this, take her here, supply that, provide this. And I always say it's the little things. Like, are you checking on me? I'm running for office. Like, do you join in on my forums, right? Are you helping me? Just whatever it is, caring for me, right? Like, that's what I think most women want. We want someone that has us top of mind, that is going to care for us the same way you would care for your car or your golf clubs, Alex. The amount of time and energy you put into things as a man that you really care about. Like, y'all,
Yeah.
when it comes to football season, act like every single player like he's your child, right? Do you put that level of care into your relationship? Everything that's happening with every single sports team, but do you know that on Tuesday I have an interview and I
Yeah.
might need a nice dinner on Monday night to prepare me, right? And then a massage after. Like, that is what we want,
Yeah.
those little things. I think people have gotten so wrapped up in what we can give each other that is a material thing, and not what we provide that is priceless, right? Which is respect and love and a listening ear and empathy and grace. That's what is important. And I'm old school, right? Like, I believe men should protect and provide. What does that mean? Like, protecting my heart, protecting my physical well-being, and providing not from a monetary standpoint, but just providing those things that I cannot just buy off of the shelf. That is what I think we need. So providing that peace and providing that safety net to be who you are, providing that friendship and that companionship. I think that is what we have gotten away from, and we really need more people to do that. And I think if people looked at love and relationships from that lens, they wouldn't be so intimidated. They wouldn't feel like this is something that is unobtainable, because when we're not thinking about it from a materialistic standpoint, everyone should be able to obtain this level of just genuine and pure love. And really, it's friendship and companionship with a level of chemistry and attraction. That's what I look at it as.
Doesn't matter how tall it is though?
Well, I'm 5'3", so the range
Okay.
for me is I have a wide range, so no,
What's that?
I don't have to discriminate.
Okay, good deal. I love that because
Yeah,
I do this every week, and
yeah.
man, I'm telling you, I'm 5'1", but 6 foot is I wear heels, so that's love. Okay, like you mentioned Christianity. Okay, love that. You talked about age a little bit, just from you want him to be, I guess, healthy enough to have kids because that's a core goal for you. What about dating younger? Like I've matched a woman with someone younger,
Oh,
and she is having a blast. Okay, like she's sending me all the little reels. like of the stats of black women dating younger. I'm not gonna call them women, but just younger men. Um, and she's established, she's doing well. But I'm just curious, like, have you had any experience with dating not much younger, but just younger?
Technically, yes. Yeah, I think dating younger, it really just depends on the man and their maturity level and where they
Yeah.
are in terms of being established, especially if you're dating a more established woman. So I think younger men can definitely get there with the older women, but
It sounds like
I
there's
think
some
younger men should be
coaching that's
honest
gonna
with
be involved.
themselves, right? Huh?
Sounds like there's some coaching, like your tone changed there a little bit. It was
I mean, I
like,
think yeah, look, I know we have mutual friends where there's a age gap, right? And they have a
oh yeah,
beautiful,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, they have a
absolutely, yeah.
beautiful
Hmm.
marriage. So it's definitely
Hmm.
possible. But when I look at that man, I don't know if I ever realized that he was younger, right? Because
Exactly.
he had been together.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was
Absolutely.
established. So I think it's very possible. But it's a case by case. But I say women should be open to all of it. If they are respectful and kind and loving and y'all want the same things, you should be open to it. So that'd be
Okay.
my thoughts. Yeah.
Love it. Okay. So then, like, like what about relationship roles?
Hmm.
Like, is it are you for traditional or kind of for like a hybrid, like customized way of living, like just you know, um, I'm trying to understand because I know like it's tough to define what we want
Yeah.
before having it and before knowing the person you're going to do it with,
Yep.
right? Like, so it's like sometimes you don't want to get too pedantic with like what it has to be before you meet the person, and then you force them into your box. So I just didn't know if you had like a take on that, or like if you have like an idea of what you're striving for in terms of like roles that you and your husband would play.
Yeah, as someone who aspires to be in public office, while I do love traditional gender roles, that may not be the full reality for me in the future. And so I think it is a give and take, right? I think having the baseline of love and respect between the husband and the wife is something that should be the foundation. And from there, you build upon it. I think men have to get used to the idea that their wife might make more money or she might have a bigger title or she might travel, right, and do the things that traditionally men have done. And they have to ask themselves, can you love and be okay with that type of lifestyle? I think women have reconciled it for ourselves, right? Like if we're already doing this now, I think we have accepted that this is the life we can live, at least in the short term, if we were to get married or to have kids. And so I think gender roles can still exist in this modern day construct, in terms of how we are providing and being provided for, how the safety is being created. It just looks different. Like, I don't necessarily need my husband to build the house physically, but he should be able to oversee the house or know how to hire someone to oversee the house, right? So you are still providing that male dominated role in the terms of you are leading the household, but it doesn't look like you are physically building the house. Same
Mm,
thing as a woman, right? Like, I'm not about to sit here and clean my house. I don't have time to clean my house. I'm running for Congress, right? But I know how to hire someone to come clean and keep the house clean. I know how to, meal prep. I know how to figure out the meal, but it may not look like me sitting in the kitchen over a stove every night.
right.
And so I think both sides, we have to reconfigure what we consider to be traditional gender roles.
I completely agree. Someone said I plan to retire my husband. Okay, girl. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, and
okay.
the wonderful thing
Wow.
about us growing and evolving, especially as African Americans, and
Hmm.
having the things, right? We have the jobs and the money and the ability to live life that, our ancestors only dreamed of. It may not look like the man is doing all of the providing in terms of paying for everything, right? Like maybe you all having that combined income allows you to live in a 10-bedroom house instead of a 3-bedroom house. Maybe you can have multiple vacations instead of one. Maybe you can afford 4 kids instead of just two. And so I think while traditional gender roles always have a place if you want them, I think it's a beautiful thing that women and men have a little more equality and we're able to achieve more as a couple and as partners than our parents or grandparents were able to achieve.
I completely agree. And I guess in order to do that, because you alluded to it, you were like, women, we're traveling more, they're making more money on average. So, you're saying, yes, we can sign up for the role of, being a breadwinner while still respecting someone as a protector and provider, right? But like, ho- women also can cut deep. So like, can you can you also? That's the homie. I'm surprised Ralphie hasn't like turned up
Oh
yet.
my God.
Do you gotta do?
See, that's my protector and provider right now, my little dog.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I'm surprised Ralphie hasn't. My dog hasn't gone crazy, but I'm getting lucky. All right, we
All right,
back.
say the question again.
What question was I asking? Oh, okay. Like I was just saying, I think everybody's fine. Not fine. Let me. I think everybody is at a point where you can potentially see like the writing on the wall and like, hey, if black women are continuing to make more money, like I think black men are saying we love that for you. But I think it's also this new space we're going to be in where masculinity isn't necessarily attached to being a breadwinner. And so then what does that mean if the woman's a breadwinner, like in terms of masculinity and attacking a man's masculinity? Like, I think there's going to be some things we probably need to learn or unlearn about how we can kind of cut each other, or the things we say as jabs, right? Like, they may cut deeper with the new situation. Like, if a man, like, say a man's the breadwinner, he's like, you know what, you ain't blank. And it's like, what? Okay, whatever. Like, say what you gonna say. But say, for instance, that man lost his job and hasn't had an income, and then the woman says that, like, how like that, do you see what I'm saying? Like, that effect is going to be much larger. So I think that with this new dynamic, we're going to need new language. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to need to expand our lexicon with like what we like, the new rules and the standards with like how we treat each other and talk to each other, if that's
Yeah.
the case, if that's where we're headed. But it sounds like you're open to that, and like, again, therapy.
Well, therapy, and also I read this book called Love and Respect, and it's a book that's used in a
Mm,
lot of couples therapy. And the idea, when we go back to gender roles, is that if you believe in the biblical sense of how men and women are wired, men are always going to respond better to respect over love, and women are always going to respond better to love over respect. And so women have the ability to hurt a man in the way you just described, in a way that's different from a man with us, right? In
right.
terms of how we describe their value, their livelihood, what it is they're bringing to the table in terms of being a provider. Same way men can hurt women in a different way if they are not showing us love the way we need to be.
Yeah.
And so, with understanding that and always striving as a woman to respect your man, regardless of if they are making six figures or not, you're with them for a reason. And so, that respect should always be there. And the same thing, that love should always be there from the man to the woman. I think, unfortunately, because of just society and social media and, TV, I think a lot of men and women have lost this ability to simply love and respect. And if we
Yeah.
could just get back to that core,
It's basic,
relationships would
ain't
be a
it?
lot better,
It's
right?
basic.
I mean,
Yeah.
and the reality is, women, again, women are making more money. We're more educated.
Hmm.
We are achieving in ways that men are not. Part of that is because we had to literally fight for the right to do it. So, like, let's not pretend like we've got it all the way, but we're definitely achieving and being successful. But that could all change. Again,
Yeah.
if we choose to have children, just because I'm making $200,000 today, me having a child, my child might have a disability.
Yeah.
Something might happen to my body as a result of that child, and now I'm not able to work anymore. And
Right.
so I think when women look at what it means to marry someone that is a provider, it's also with the idea that we don't know what's going to happen as a result of us having a family. And we need to know that you are still going to be able to provide for us if I am unable to be an additional provider or the primary breadwinner. And I think that is the key when it comes to women that want families, when we're thinking about who we are going to be well matched with, pun intended, because
I love
these
that.
are things we have to think about, reproductive rights right now are very expensive. So if we want to have a family, who is paying for that? If our child needs health care, who is paying for that? Because unfortunately in America we don't have proper access to health care. And so these are all things that go through a woman's mind. And so when we talk about provider, I don't think we're always at our core just talking about buy me a bag, take me on a trip. We are literally talking about, if I give birth to a child and now I'm on bed rest for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
can you take care of my child? Or if I die in
Right.
childbirth, can you take care of my child? Not to be morbid, but
Yeah, like
as a woman, that's
postpartum,
what
right?
we
If I
think
go through
about.
postpartum, like, are you
Yeah,
gonna provide for me? Like, are you gonna?
emotionally.
Is there gonna be love? To your point, right? Are
Yeah,
you gonna
you got to
withhold?
mentally. That's a good part too. We don't talk enough about postpartum.
Mhm.
And I've never had kids, so I've never been through it, but I've watched friends be through it, and I've watched men who are supposed to love these women and be their rock not handle it in the best way. And that's a real thing. Going back to therapy. But can you
Yeah,
handle that, right? Like, can you be that emotional and spiritual provider when she goes through that postpartum experience, which a lot of women through that we don't even talk about?
yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes I just think that, and I hate to ask y'all to do one more thing. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all do so much, but like, I will say, like, sometimes I think we need help leading that conversation. You don't know sometimes. Like, I guess we can read up on it for sure. Like, now that you know, now that you've heard it, you can prepare yourself and, like, be proactive. You know what I'm saying? With the conversations, with the discussions. But I don't know. Like, some of these things we weren't taught.
Yeah.
We weren't taught these things as a kid, you know? So it's like
Well,
you're
and
learning these things.
women weren't taught them a lot either.
But
Unfortunately,
y'all talk to y'all mothers and aunties more. You know what I'm saying? We were like outside the yard throwing a football, you know, I think that I don't know. Do women talk to and share more information back and forth nowadays too? Like let's say 30, mid 30s and um like high 30s. Do y'all still like talk to aunties, grandmas and moms, or
I
is there
think
like
it
a dynamic that's
depends.
changed?
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, I think we definitely have access to more information on the internet now. So we could
Right.
ask ChatGPT and Google or TikTok University if you still choose to enroll there. But I don't think we should assume that women talk about everything. And I don't think we should assume that older women talk about everything, especially in minority communities. There were a
Mm,
lot of things you actually did not discuss, for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it could be as elementary as it was an embarrassment to the family. And so, unfortunately, this is how we end up in a society
that's true.
where women are raped and they never tell anyone.
That's true, Zoe.
Women are taken advantage of, kidnapped, trafficked, etc., and no one ever knows. Or they're in abusive relationships and they don't know because we don't talk about it. And so, I think being a
Mm.
supportive partner is also understanding that she may not have expressed certain things to you, right? She might be getting triggered by something and you don't even know what it's about because she hasn't found the heart or the safe space to be able to talk about it. And you have to kind of have in the back of your mind the ability to kind of unravel that if she wants to talk about it or just
And
at
put it
least
on
be
the table.
cognizant.
Put it on
Yeah.
the table, not sweeping under the rug. Like if it's something you're curious about, men or women, you know what I'm saying? Like let's just say, can we talk about this? Like, what are your thoughts on postpartum? Like, oh, like okay, like what are your thoughts on adoption? Like, just it's okay to talk about things. You know, I
Yeah.
think that sometimes you're right, Zoe, even though women talk more in blackness, I think a lot of times we like put stuff under the rug. And I think that now that's the new shift. So I did want to go to some of these questions that people submitted. So maybe you can see it. And I just want to say, like, while your image may be a little blurry, girl, you coming through loud and clear. You heard me? Okay. So, like, in addition to running for office, what is she excited about slash looking forward to in her personal life? Tim, would you like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I am still very excited about having a family and being able to, as an advocate, advocating for a life that up on America yet, and hoping that within running for office, I'm advocating for policies that will make it better for the children that I do plan to have and the family that I plan to have. So I am 36, but we're not dead yet. So we are still on that road. And so I think, as someone that seeks public office, a lot of times people who want to be in public office may feel like they can't do it because they have not had that family yet. And again, as I've said before, I don't think it has to be a matter of one or the other. It can be both. One just might come first and the other might come later. I actually love the idea of potentially meeting my person in this new space because I do feel like running for
Yeah,
office, it brings out a completely different side of you, and you become a slightly changed person throughout the process. And so the people that may have been in my life before probably would not be able to handle this new version of myself. And so I'm excited for that person coming along in this season after this transformation.
me too. Me too. And you know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't want, men, I don't know if I want to meet somebody in my next chapter. I want someone to shoot with me in the gym. You don't want nobody shooting with
Yeah.
you? Okay.
But
So we
no,
can
but I'm shooting in the gym right
right
now. This is a
now.
gym shooting
Right.
season.
You are in the
But we're a
gym,
little more,
girl.
yeah, but we're a little more refined and a little a little more established. So
I see.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Love that. Okay, so Chase Sloan, my girl Chase Sloan said, is there a level of on that you feel as a public figure? How have you been able to turn Zoe for Congress off and separate Zoe for Cuddles?
Sorry for cuddles. I love that. Man, that's
Great question, Chase.
That's an interesting question. So for those who don't know, I've actually spent most of my career working in Washington, D.C. I was a federal lobbyist, so I have always represented a company or companies. And within that, you kind of are always on. Working with elected officials all over the country, you literally never know when you're going to run into somebody. And so to some extent, I always feel like I've always been on. And years before this, I was Miss Houston, which that was a similar experience in the public figure sense. I tried to live my entire life, even within this campaign, as authentically as possible so that I don't ever have to be on, right? I'm just being Zoe. Now, there are different levels to Zoe, but you're never getting the fake made up version, right? You're always getting Zoe, just maybe a little more polished depending on the occasion. And
Yeah.
so, but in terms of becoming Zoe to cuddle, in addition to literally, literally taking off like the makeup and the suit and wrapping up the hair, again, it is that security and that safe space that men create. That good men are good at creating, and reminders that you're beautiful when you get out of a workout, right? Because you don't want the cameras around normally after you're working out and you're all sweaty. Or there are days, on the campaign trail, I don't get a chance to get dressed up, right? I don't have time. I'm either block walking or I'm running around at
Right.
different
It could
events.
be a phone call, right? Like a
Yeah, like
text
I'm in a
call.
hat
Yeah.
and a
Hmm.
t-shirt, and I don't feel my best, right? Being reminded of that. And then those days when you're just really tired and you need to push on, being told that it's okay to rest and it's okay to be tired, it's okay to cry, and it's okay to have those moments of weakness, but then also being encouraged, pick yourself back up, stay on the prize, and know why you're here, know who you are and whose you are. And I think when your man has that confidence in you, then in turn, you're able to keep pushing. So, and that, men providing that mental security and emotional security ultimately allows women to be our most feminine and softest selves. And so, I always say, if a woman is out here, you know, in her dominant element, look at the man and how is he making her feel? There's usually some type of correlation.
Yes,
And
sir.
so I think, not to put the responsibility on y'all, but I kind of do put the
We'll take it. We'll
responsibility
take the
on y'all.
responsibility. That's what we do. We take the
Yeah.
responsibility. It's all good.
2-way street.
Um, yeah. I love that Zoe for cuddles. So a good man essentially is a good campaign manager, is what you're saying. Okay.
No,
So
no. And that's the key, Hold on now. I think this is
le-
another misconception with successful women. Like, if I'm the CEO, I'm not necessarily looking for a COO, right? Again,
hmm.
partner. But that doesn't mean you have to be all ingrained in my
So what are you looking
career.
for? As a CEO, what are you looking for? Like, is it a role? Is it a title? Is it a non-pro? Like, what is it?
No, I believe, look, be the best in whatever God calls you to be. That is my whole thing. Like, ambition can show itself in any profession.
It can.
And I think men, they see CEO woman and they think I have to be a CEO. No, I just want to know that you are being the best version that you were called to be and that you are always striving to be better. So if you are called to be in the education field, be the best teacher in your school. If you're going to be a principal, go be a principal. If you're going to get additional training, whatever that is. We're not saying y'all have to match us in every level. We just saying that we want you to match our ambition. That's what we want. Match the ambition.
Absolutely.
Because
And
otherwise it gets boring.
you know what I loved? I
Yeah.
love watching Forever. Did you watch
Ah,
Forever on
I watched
Netflix?
Forever. Man,
That
that
dynamic, that dynamic was so good,
it
right?
was
Because
so
that's
good.
it alludes to the kind of what you're talking about, right? I think it was the
Yeah.
chef. She was like a high-powered attorney, I'm guessing, or in finance, one of the two.
Yeah.
But you may think that like she was in her dominant space, right? Like, but he was also, very cool, calm, and collected, and I just thought that that was a really cool example of what life might be like.
Yeah.
Um,
And
you
I
know,
love that they showed her allowing him to lead her.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I think that's a dynamic we don't see on TV
yeah,
when it comes to black couples and black families. Like,
yeah.
she was obviously a very strong
She
willed woman,
was,
right? And
yeah,
she was very opinionated. And sometimes her opinions were toxic to her children. And he recognized that and very lovingly would correct her at times. And she allowed him to do that. And so I applaud whoever the producers, directors, writers of
so
that show,
good.
because they could have created a different type of uh, black family dynamic. And I think this is a very positive image of the black family that we really do not need, or
We
that we
didn't know, we
don't get
didn't
enough
know we
of.
needed it. We didn't know we needed it because
Yeah, we didn't know we needed it.
we had so many different examples, right? I asked women like, are you more, on Viv or Claire Huxtable in
I'm
terms of like
queer.
you're Claire?
I know already. I'm queer.
But now
I love me some
I
queer.
need to add the Forever
And
couples.
forever, yeah. That's a good
Yeah, I
one.
will.
Mom,
I
and
will
the
because
kids
I
love
think
that.
more people will say that low key.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah,
we don't need. I don't need another. We don't need two. We don't need two guys. We don't need two. Like we need people that are, you know, that complement each other. All
yeah.
right. So my boy Questy asked a question. He said, "If you want to answer this, or if you can skip to right," he said, "What are you afraid of, and what inspires you most?" I don't know if Zoe afraid of anything for real. I think girl's fearless. But go
No,
ahead.
we all have fears. I want to find someone that I love so much that
Mm,
I fear for their life, the same way I would fear for the life of my children. And I think, we still live in a society where black men are targeted every day. Diseases are running rampant. Life is just lifing. And so you want to be in love with someone who you love so much that you literally like pray for their safety because you fear that they will be taken
that's
away from you. And
sweet.
so, yeah. And we've seen tons of, I have friends that have lost their loved ones or their significant others at a very young age. And yeah, like you want to find that love and then you want to pray that that love sustains as long as possible. So I think the fear of losing that in whatever way that looks.
But to be clear,
Um,
you don't have that right now.
I don't. Okay.
No, I mean like
I
you don't
serve
have
an
that
able
fear
God.
either. You don't have that fear.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I
No, no, no.
thought
I
about.
don't have that right now. No, I don't have that right now. And then I
Okay.
think inspiration, though, I mean, look, as cliche as this may sound, it really is a lot of our friends, right? Like, I see it. I see that it can be done. We have tons of
Yeah.
friends, thankfully, that are married. The women are successful, or even if they
Yeah.
don't have a job, they're being great mothers and they're still
Yeah.
living their
Yep.
life. And as I get older, you want to know that life doesn't end with the child or with the marriage, right? You can still be
Yeah.
your fun, sexy, ambitious woman or womanly
Yeah.
self while still being a great mom and a great wife. And I think a lot of times we feel like when you become a wife, like it's over. When you become a mom, it's over. And that is not
Yeah.
the case. And I think we have a lot of good examples of that. So that inspires me to even, be out here running for office and still aspiring to have a family, because there are real life examples of women who do it every day and they do it very well.
Well, Zoe, you are inspiring me, and I appreciate, I we'll talk a lot about the business. We'll talk a lot about, directions that I may take in terms of like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about having this person on, and you always give me sound advice. So I just wanted to give you your flowers, say thank you, let you know I'm so proud of you. Wish the best for you. Happy belated birthday. I told you yesterday too, but just thank you so much for coming on. It
Thank
means a
you.
lot.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for creating this space. I think, again, it's good to have healthy conversation, more importantly, from someone that is in a healthy and successful marriage, because I think, it's a lot of dating advice online right now, but when
Hello.
you look at who's providing the advice, it's like, hold up, I can't listen. You haven't even
Right.
accomplished what you're trying to give me
Don't
advice
get me don't get me started, Zoe. Because Mal told me don't talk about them. Don't talk about them. Just talk about you. But like, don't hype me up. Cause I
on. We gonna listen to Mel.
right, right.
But I'll let me talk about it. I'll talk about it.
Go
But
ahead.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
as someone who is seeking the advice, I appreciate being able to get the advice from someone that's actually doing it versus, you know, the some of our friends on the internet. So, anyways, thank you for creating this space. This is really fun. Thank you to everyone who joined.
Thank y'all. I appreciate you.
All right.
All right, Zoe.
Have a good
Appreciate y'all.
night.
Thank you guys. See you next
Bye.
time. Peace.